Today I wanted to give you an example of creating your own systems. And in this case, I'm actually using some software that I wanted to kind of analyze and see if I could write down the method by which I'm using it. Now, this is called Atticus software, and it's a writing system that I use to create ebooks and PDF files, etc., for my books, both fiction and nonfiction. And the challenge is that I have to learn the software. Now, I've learned many kinds of software, whether it's Photoshop, After Effects, Cinema 4D, and I'm currently working on something called iClone for animation and Previs for filmmaking. But in this case, I have to learn Atticus, and this is because you have to break each chapter into about 8,000 or less words, otherwise you get formatting issues. My goal is to have a PDF file that I can export and then put into the print publishing world, print on demand, and therefore sell it to people who are interested in reading my books. So what I wanted to do was examine that and show you how I create a little system. And I think it's very important to think in terms of systems, both for our efficiency, reduce our anxiety, and it is a very simple way to do that, and I want to show you how. First of all, let's examine what I mean by system. It sounds really complex, but it really needn't be. We have hundreds of systems we encounter every single day, whether it's your car system, the human body, the credit card system, the traffic system, on and on and on. Even looking at a tree, there is a ecosystem that you have to be aware of. Or if you have a garden, there's a certain process you go to. So when we actually look at the word system, I'm going to bring up a little number of synonyms here. So what is a system? Well, here are some ways to look at it. An arrangement, an operation, a practice, procedure, process, strategy, scheme, which sounds a bit bad. In the US, we actually say scheme and it means something bad. In Europe, they will say scheme and they mean structure, which is also up here, technique. Other ones that kind of are strong matches are like manner, methodology, pattern. That's an easy one to embrace, a certain pattern. Routine, tactic, theory, usage, way. So the point is that there's a lot of ways to look at when I say create your own systems and not overcomplicate it. What I want to do is simply do this, is to walk through how I created something so you can figure it out as well. And we're just going to build something very easily and quickly about how I go back and address the method that I hope works here for my formatting of my book in relation to using this software. And the idea is that you can come up with your own plan, your own way of creating a system that works for you, whatever your pursuit. In my case, I'm writing books. In your case, you might be pursuing a career in plumbing or architecture or trying to learn a new sport or anything you want to do. The idea is that you are fulfilled in your activity, and by creating a little system and some discipline to go with it, you will get better, faster, and have more fulfillment with whatever your pursuit is. So let's take a look at that. So indeed, here is Atticus. This is the interface right here. I created a copy, version 4, of my book called Murder in the City of Light. And the issue is here that each of these chapters, here's a chapter, and here is a subchapter. And what I have to do is have each chapter, right here, it's 2,000 words, and each subchapter be less than 8,000 words. And it's kind of been a bit of a wrangle, and I actually had to step back and I go, okay, I'm going to wing it and just kind of put it out, use my thinking in whatever way I thought could work by selecting some kind of arbitrary areas, and it'll look nice and in the PDF file. It's nice to have it laid out to where you can read it, and then it has a scene break, and then it continues in a nice format. Well, I kind of jumped the gun and went for it, thought I could do it, and then I got keenly frustrated, and I said, okay, I got to step back, and create my own little system, which is probably something you're trying to do as well with certain areas of your life. So what I'm going to do is go back. I've made a copy, so of course it's good to play with a copy. When you're working on something important, if you could do that on the computer, always make a copy. I call it versioning. I have a video on that for the reasoning behind it. But essentially then you move fearlessly to attack the problem or the issue and to create your own system. And then you're willing to brainstorm and experiment. And these are all very important perspectives to have in creating your own system, in brainstorming, and moving as fearlessly as possible towards your goal. So what I'm going to do is go back, and I'm not going to take your time to do this, but what I'm essentially going to do is combine all these back, and what you have to do is, on this particular Thursday, the book is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, etc. And what I have to do is go back here and click on this and merge with the next chapter. So that is actually putting everything back into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not Thursday and then Thursday subchapter 1, Thursday subchapter 2, etc., etc. So I'm going to sign off and do that, and then show you the method that I've come up with. So what I've done here, as you could see, is I had a lot of chapters, a number under Thursday, Wednesday, etc., and I've combined them. That's as simple as going here and getting merged with the next chapter. And what I am going to do is also a big shout out to Sid of Atticus Software Group. She's the one who actually was very generous with her time and talked me back from the ledge of complete anxiety and frustration and depression about the whole software thing, because I didn't really dive into the software as much as I should have. And she was very generous with her time and explanations and helped me learn the software, which you realize you have to do. You actually have to put in the time to master something. You have to actually go and dig into the details and come up with, indeed, a system for learning it, to where it becomes so second nature that when I publish my books and future books, it becomes very easy. This is one of the ways of gaining, indeed, mastery, going from a journeyman, as it were, to apprentice, journeyman, master, is one thing I learned in France when I was there. Because in France, they actually have to restore an enormous number of historic castles, chateaux, monuments, etc. And they still have people that work in this area for textiles, stonework, metalwork, woodwork, etc. in the ancient ways, so that their restorations are exacting. And they still have the apprentice, journeyman, master circuit to do that. Keep that in mind, and I think actually that's a good subject I'm going to dive into at some point. But what I did is, indeed, I combined all these here, and as you can go, you could see Wednesday, I have 11,814 words. Thursday, 42,305 words. Friday, 27,000 words. Saturday, 29. Sunday, 13. Monday, 6,682. That might work. So what I have to do is cut them down into 8,000 words. What I did was actually do this. I started writing things down, get it out of my brain, and to come up with some logical steps. And I certainly hope it works. I have what's called a Remarkable pad. This is actually just a small electronic notebook. It does one thing extremely well, which is take notes. So, for example, I wrote down all the things that I want to do, and what I'm going to do is transcribe this into a notebook called Scrivener. where I have both marketing notes and parts of my course called the Scholar Warrior Way that I create my own systems and other elements. So I'm going to open that up and write them down, and I'll share those steps with you. So in this case, I've generated the PDF file. It's exporting right here. And what I've also done is to be able to take in Scrivener, and I put it in my marketing master because it's under the Atticus issues here, and creating subchapters for my book. Merge all chapters with scene breaks. Export the PDF. That's happening now. Count the pages for each chapter. The words per chapter, which I can know at the bottom here, divided by the number of pages. And I should cut these sections into words, 7,000 words, more or less, by paragraphs at the end of the PDF. So I'll find a part where there's a scene break and then add the subchapter there. Then I'm going to re-export it. See, look, there's another step I could actually add. Re-export, and I know it's the idea is to be as detailed as possible. It drives yourself a little crazy, but guess what? What it does is clarify exactly what you're doing. And this is a pretty simple one. Then I'm going to check the PDF in PDF Gear Viewer to make sure it's exactly what I want. And that would be the final check. So I'm going to put a note here. So what I've done is taken this from my Remarkable pad. I just wrote it here, very simple. But again, what it does is your brain starts to get all this anxiety from going, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? This is the experiencer and the inner voice, which I call the inner roommate for certain reasons, which you could look up that article, going back and forth, which creates a lot of anxiety and uncertainty. By writing it down simply, simple steps, it allows me to clarify what's in my brain, and guess what? Next time I go back and say, oh, I've got to do it again, I have got it laid out. And if I need to add steps because I've come up with a few better ones and learned, then that's okay. But in this way, I have a series. You could have 1, 2, 5, 10, 100 of these systems for everything in your life, or a great deal of them, that take out stress and actually make it efficient and a predictable result. And when you get a predictable result, you can get closer to your goal faster. That's the entire reason that this makes it a very worthwhile habit to get into about creating your own systems. So let's get that export and take a look. So it took a little time to paginate here under this template, but it did, and now I could actually download it. So I'm going to click download here, and that's going to come up for my Atticus exports. I'm going to put it into today's date file and open it up and take a look in PDF Gear. So in PDF Gear, I have opened up the file, and what I do is I go to Pages, and I basically want to see that there's no big gaps in here between sections. That means all the subchapters cleared out and the document flows. Example here is, of course, there's white space, but it leads to another chapter. So I was going through and marking it. I'm also using a little image here, so when I cut from one scene to another, it's kind of a nice little transition point, I guess. Here's something I gotta fix because it says Thursday and it's already Thursday, so there's probably a few of these that I need to work with. So I actually put a line through there so when I could easily pick it up when there's an issue. So I'm going to clean that up, and then what I'm going to do is look between, for example, Thursday, and how many pages is Thursday till I get to the next day major chapter, which is Friday. In which case, if I go down here, that's a long chapter, right? So let me see, where is it? Goes and goes and goes and goes. So that's probably part of the issue. Oh, I missed it. Friday, Thursday to Friday. In this case, I have to find it. Thursday. So when looking through the PDF, I realized I made a mistake and I had to fix it. Now that's just part of the human journey, because what we're doing here is everybody makes mistakes and errors and you go, oh, I forgot that step. What I did while it's recycling through to deliver me a PDF, excuse me, in the merged chapters, I said check for lingering subchapter headings. And if I actually, that's like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because when you merge the chapters, the chapter heading of Sunday, Monday, whatever it is, stays inside the chapter. So you have to go and delete that. I forgot all about that. So use the find, and I put that down for each day, Sunday, Monday, etc. And then highlight the word deleted, and when I hit delete, it goes automatically to the next word, so I can quickly delete it. So that's good to add these kind of steps here, because that allows for some degree of efficiency. Right now I'm just calling them 1A, 1AA, 1AB, etc. to go through this. And make sure the chapter headings are visible. That's an important part, because I had not checked off that box when I put out the PDF. And when it's visible, then I can get that Friday break. You can see earlier that I was scrolling through trying to find the Friday, and it wasn't there because the chapter heading was not visible. So anyways, a long way to say that you will discover mistakes or errors or things you can add, and the idea is just to simply go back to your written system and add to it. That's the key element, is to keep adding and building. Next time when I go in here, I'll go, oh yeah, that's right, that's something I'm supposed to do. And that makes a more efficient system. And then I will embed into me the practice of the software and go from hopefully an apprentice to a journeyman. All right, so I'm going to get that PDF and take a look. So that took a little bit of time to go through the PDF file and then reset the Atticus software file, because there were a lot of instances where I'd left in either a chapter heading or something like that and some spacing. So the next step is that I looked at the various elements here that I'm going to need, and in terms of that, I added a few steps. Let's take a look at that. Again, this is not something you have to do, but I'm showing you what I'm doing. Hopefully that it'll help you create your own little system. What I did is I added these steps as we go through for the lingering subchapter headings, to find each one of those and delete them. And then I went through and I created a spreadsheet to do this kind of calculation of words per chapter divided by pages, where the sections could be in either 7 or 8,000 words, and to kind of get a sense of, go to 20 pages or whatever the number is, and then look right there, could be page 19 or 20 or 21, in relation to where I'd find a nice clear break at the bottom of the page to create the subchapter. And so I created a spreadsheet. I'm going to show it to you. Again, you don't need to know it, but in this way, because I'm going to use this technique over and over and over, I can basically now take this, pages beginning and ending, total pages, the total words, average words per page, a limit, which I changed to 8,000 here, not 7, just figuring that's the actual limit. Average subchapter pages. that'll give me like every 10 pages or 20 or whatever the number is that I should look for a page break. So again, you don't need to know this, but you can see I created another tool that I could use over and over and over for future books and even some of my existing ebooks that I want to go and do print. So I have at least 6 or 7 of those. So I could use this tool that I just created again in the future as part of this system making. And you might discover that all of a sudden you're able to do the same thing. So now I am going to input all this data and then come back and show you what I've got. So I went through and I examined the number of pages here in the book and looked at, let's say, for example, let me go back here, something like a Saturday, and I went all the way down and I found the Sunday and counted the pages between the start of the chapter and the end, and then basically put that on this particular spreadsheet. Again, you don't need to know about it, but number of pages beginning in, total pages, the total words in each chapter, and that gave me the average words per page. I actually thought they'd be higher per page, given the size of the book, but not exactly. I decided to change it to the 8,000 word limit, and for the sake of some conservative estimate, I made it 7,500 words. And this tells me the average number of pages each subchapter should be. So theoretically, I should be able to start at a chapter, count 21 pages as it says here, 23, 22, whatever it is, and then be able to create the subchapter for the proper division of the book. So I think this piece of work is very good because it actually kind of took a lot of stress out of me guessing and going back and forth. Now I could just do a page count, and ideally, that's me knocking on wood, it'll work out. So let me run a couple of those and I'll show you what I'm up to and take it from there. So here's what I've been doing. I've gone and used the average of 22 pages, and I would, for example, go from here to Sunday, page 340, go to 362, which is here, and then I click on it, I find the bottom line, and then I would go over to Atticus and search for that, where I put it in here, Sims Howled again, and that's exactly where I would make a page break that works for the printed version, so it breaks right under here on the PDF, and therefore, given the size of the book and the trim size of the book, it would nicely break right there into that subchapter, which looks seamless with this. Now, basically, I think it's done, and I'm going to print it out and take a look at it one more time. And because I had a number of things to do today, it's getting into the evening, and so I'm going to do that. Here's what I will say is that I kept trying to tweak Atticus and see how it works and come up with some screwy way to figure it out. And once I actually put everything together, thought through the system, and what are the steps I would really take and write them down. That's the key, write them down so I'm very, very clear on them. It became apparent where the weak points were, where my thinking needed to be better. As you can see, we also added a number of other steps in my little Scrivener document, so when I have to go back to it and say, oh wait, what did I do? I actually have those steps written out. I also created a small spreadsheet which helped me think through the process. So whether you're doodling, using a spreadsheet, some kind of drawing, depending on your activity, that helped me really clarify my thinking. Once I had that, and I had the number of words per page and the number of pages I should be conservative with, meaning it might be 23, I went to 22. That way it was well below the 8,000 word mark. And in that way I'd find these nice clean breaks. I was just concentrating on what I was doing here, but the point is, though, that I believe it worked quite successfully in a very short time once I actually organized my thoughts. And that's called creating a system, process, system, method, technique, strategy, whatever you want to call it. But if you do this in a number of areas of your life, could be just how you run the house, or get to work, or deal with helping your child's homework, or a new career, or anything like that. Having a method and this kind of strategy and this kind of system really will boost your results. So I'll give you the final word probably either tonight or tomorrow, and let you know that it's a go on the project. All right? Well, after going through the entire book on the Atticus software, I was able to fix Murder in the City of Light and to get it in a great spot there for the printing file so that I could send it to the printer to make the actual softcover books. At the same time, I took Journey So Dreams May Come, more of a literary sense than the murder mystery, and I decided to go through that and come up with even another little mini system that I was able to work through. And that was right here, where I created a new book and copy and pasted the text from Atticus software into a text file, and then created a new file in Atticus and copy and pasted the text from that back into the Atticus software using Shift Command V, which means no formatting, which is what is required. And then I reset that, so I really got up speed here to be able to do the subchapters, as well as create a new Atticus file that was able to export a doc file, which I wasn't able to do before. It kept making errors because the formatting caught in the file itself. So as a result, I created two little systems here in doing this. The original is the subchapters, and then I created one about the text file where I was able to fix that book. Consequently, both of them are sent off to the printer, and I hope to get them within a week or week and a half or something like that. The actual physical books, the ones that I did have here, and you can see them, here we are, but they had some errors, and so I needed to fix them, and that's what I think I've done. So overall, that was an example of how you create a little mini system. I've written it all down, so when I have to revisit it again, I could go through the steps and quickly go at it, reduce my anxiety, increase the probability, if not certainty, of my results, and create more books. So I have more time for writing and less difficulty, and certainly a lot less frustration with this process. So again, this is an example of me creating the books, but you could apply it anywhere if you take the time to work out the steps, write it down, and then start to build a number of systems. 5, 10, 20, 30 systems later, all of a sudden everything might start to change, and you can build these habits with increasing frequency, better results, better discipline, and a lot less stress. So get at it and have a great day.